Okay, hi guys. Like as Dr. C said, I just graduated last May from the undergrad program for environmental engineering, and I stayed for a master's in environmental engineering. So I guess that's how you know the program's really good. So just tell you a little bit about my experience with senior design, my undergrad experience, and now my current graduate experience a year in. So my senior design project was more so environmental than the other senior design project that we just went over. It was for sampling, analysis, and remediation of a site called the Atlantic Shellfish Formerly Used Defense Site, or FUDS. A lot of acronyms in both these industries, both civil and environmental. Um, so it was a former naval station on the Narragansett Bay in Rhode Island. So we got to visit the site, which was really awesome to see in person. The site and the surrounding areas have history of hazardous material use, which ended up in the groundwater and the soils, um, which is a hazard and needs to be remediated. Due to its former use as a naval station, it was under jurisdiction of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to process investigation and cleaning up the site. It's a surplus site, so it falls under that regulation. And I worked with Comprehensive Environmental Incorporated, or CEI. They were doing the work on the site. They were our professional sponsor for this project. So a little bit about the process. The folks that went before me just finished up their senior design, so they're super, on all the details. This was a year ago for me, so it's a little bit more general. But we had monthly meetings with our professional, industry sponsor. So we met with the company, we got their intel, and we got their feedback on what we were doing. We had weekly meetings with our academic advisor to help us go through the process and really walk us through how to take on such a task that we've never really seen before. We went on site visits to observe sample collection, well installation, and just overall see how a remediation site is being handled by the professionals, which is a really invaluable experience. We also determined the regulatory framework, which can be kind of difficult and tricky at first. So once you get practice with it, it comes a lot more naturally to you. We analyzed samples collected from the field. We worked with CEI and our advisor to go through the data, condense it down, and really understand what was happening at the site through numbers. We plotted that data on maps to understand where our contaminants were and at what levels. And then at the end, we created a remedial investigation report, and it had an analysis of the data that we collected throughout the year, a CEM, which is a conceptual site model, which breaks down where the pollutions are, where the pollution is, where the areas of concern are, and who's at risk, as well as data gaps and a resampling plan for where we need more data to fill in those gaps. Next slide. So in a nutshell, I had an undergrad experience at UConn, specifically in the environmental field. And there's a lot I could say on it, but really briefly, some challenges are that the coursework is high. You're in engineering, there's a lot being thrown at you. It's a lot of STEM. It's some very advanced materials, but there are also a lot of benefits. Specifically the environmental and the civil department. They care a lot about student input. They care about your opinions. They care about your well-being. Dr. C, our department head, has weekly office hours. Actually, during the pandemic, I think you have daily office hours.
Yes.
So they want to know how you're doing. They want to have your feedback on classes. They want to know how you're feeling mentally, emotionally, and academically. So this department really cares about their students, which is just really incredible, especially due to the size of civil engineering. It's a big department. The class material is challenging, like I said, but it's very rewarding because you're doing something very important. You're doing something very specific, and hopefully it's something you're interested in and care about. So it's really interesting to learn about and to get experience in. We also have a lot of unique learning experiences. One, which is a little self-promo for Dr. C and I, is the brownfield redevelopment. I'm working with Dr. C with the brownfields redevelopment, but it's a really awesome class that you actually work with towns and communities in Connecticut to produce a real product for them. So it's similar to senior design in the sense that you are working kind of in a flipped classroom and you're producing a real product to a client. So it's a really awesome learning experience and you get to do something really meaningful at the end of it. And a lot of students get job opportunities or internships out of it. So we have a lot of cool curriculum like that available to the students. Curriculum, as Dr. C was going over, there's a lot of things that you can do in terms of professional electives. You can minor in construction, environmental engineering. Within environmental engineering, there's so many different sects and factors that you could go into, like wastewater management, chemistry, sustainability. So there's so much you can do with it, and it really allows you to find something that you strive at and that you really enjoy doing, which I think is awesome. And as far as an academic experience goes, the professors and staff are wonderful. Like I said, they really care about you as a student and a person. So they're very accommodating. They care about what you're learning and they're passionate about what they're teaching. So it overall just makes a really exciting classroom experience for the students. You end up having really strong connections with your professors and classmates. As environmental, which was the smaller of the two undergrads in the department, I saw the same people every day. I had the same classes with them. So we had really strong connections and bonds between us because it was a small class. It was around 30 people. And the curriculum is designed to help you experience the vast array of options you have available to you in these fields. So you'll try a little bit of everything, see what works for you, and then in your senior and junior year, you'll have the opportunities to pick the classes and the subjects that are of the most interest to you. Next slide. And as far as a graduate experience goes, with differences in the graduate as in the undergraduate, your expectations are a little bit different. You're seen less of a student and more as an equal, as a peer. So you're expected to do things a little bit more independently. You're expected to take on a little bit more course load, and you're expected to produce a higher caliber of your work. You do have less classes, but there is more independent work that goes along with that, whether that be TAing, being an RA, a research assistant, and just doing research in general. So it kind of balances out where you have less classes, but more independent work. There are similarities with undergrad as well. It's the same great staff, it's the same great professors. It is the same material that you learn in undergrad, just expanded upon. And what's really great about that is that it's more focused onto what you're interested in, because ideally with graduate school, you're going and you're narrowing down your field of interest and really focusing on the things that you think are interesting and that you want to further research. As far as workload goes, you do have more work overall, but like I said, it's more rewarding because it tends to be more tailored to your interests and what is going to help you professionally and academically. And you focus on topics that are of more interest to you. And there's a lot of research opportunities with graduate experience as well as undergrad, but it's more tied in with graduate experience, I found. And there's a lot of different professors in the civil and environmental department here at UConn doing a lot of different really interesting stuff. This gives you the opportunity to work with any of these professors. A lot of them will do interdisciplinary projects that will really create a unique experience for your research and help you produce something that's really unique to you and really helpful to the academic sector. So yeah, that's kind of my nutshell of my experiences.
Thank you, Jackie.